Sunday morning, April 17th, 2022. Who is greater, Tris Speaker or George Sisler? I look at their stats, try to compare them. Both excellent hitters. Speaker 345 career average, Sisler 340, so they're similar. Let's look at career average, runs, RBIs, home runs, triples, doubles, singles, total bases, slugging, on base, strikeouts, at bats, games, stolen bases, walks, career hits, 100 RBI season, most runs in a season, most RBIs in a season, years played, 400 batting seasons. How many? And how many 200 hit seasons? Let's try to determine who's greater. It's interesting. Speaker played, Tris Speaker, 22 years. Sisler, 15. I don't know what happened to George Sisler. He stopped playing at 37 years old. He missed one season when he was 30 years old. He missed a season. Maybe he was serving in the military, I don't know. But he played 15 years. So Speaker has 7 years more playing time than George Sisler. If we're looking at bats, Sisler had 10,195. Sisler, 8,267. Looks like about 1,900 more at bats for Speaker. Games played, Speaker, 2,789, and Sisler, 2,055. That's 724 more games. Better write that down, right? 724 more games, and he had 1,900 more at bats. Who's greater? Career average, Speaker 345, Sisler 340. Sisler, runs scored 1,882, Sisler 1,284. Speaker, RBIs 1,531, Sisler 1,178. So he's winning. Speaker is winning in average, runs, RBIs, home runs. Speaker hit 117, Sisler 102. So he wins there. He wins in triples, 222 for Speaker, 164 for Sisler. So he's got 5 categories already won. Doubles, we know the Speaker had 792, a record. Sisler 425. Singles, Speaker 2383, Sisler 2121. Speaker's winning all the categories. Total bases, Speaker 5101, Sisler 3871. Slugging, Speaker 500, Sisler 468. On base, Speaker 428, Sisler 379. He's winning them all. Strikeouts, Speaker 393. Of course, he played 7 more years. Sisler only 327. Sisler wins that, but we can't measure that because of Speaker had way more at bats. All right, I told you at bats. Speaker 10,195. Sisler 8,267. It's about 1,900. Whew. Games played. Speaker 2,789, Sisler 2,055. That's 724 games more. Stolen bases, Speaker 436, Sisler 375. Walks, Speaker 1381, Sisler 472. Hits, Speaker 3514, Sisler 2812. That's 700 hits more. 100 RBI seasons. Speaker had 2. Sisler had 4, so he wins there. Better mark that off. There and there. So far, Sisler only has 2 categories. Most runs in a season, they both had 137 as their high, so they tie there. RBIs, Speaker had 130, Sisler 122. Okay. Years played, I told you Speaker 22, Sisler 15, 7 years. 400 batting seasons. Sisler had 2 of them. 1922, he batted 420. In 1920, he batted 407. That was the year he had 257 hits. How many times does Speaker bat 400? I'm looking at it. His high was 388. Never batted over 400. Had a 386, had a 388, 362, 378, 380. Oh, here's another one. 1925, a little less games though, but he batted 389. 389, but he only had 429 at bats. The 388, where he had 552 at bats, that would be his high. And then 200 hit seasons. Speaker had 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. And Sisler, how many 200 hit seasons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So he wins there. I've got all these categories. Speaker, because he played 7 more years, because he had 1,900 more at bats, plus he had 700 more games. He won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. He won 18 categories. Speaker won 4. No, Sisler. Speaker and Sisler. I'll say it again. Speaker won 18 categories if you match them up. Sisler won 4. But there's a but. Who's greater? If we extrapolate, you like that word? And presuppose that George Sisler plays 700 more games and he has 1,900 more at-bats, would he match Tris Speaker? All right, how many hits, roughly, does George Sisler average per year played? All right, here's what we'll do. He had 15 years, 2,812 hits. 2,812 divided by 15 years. George Sisler averaged 187 hits a year. How about that? Because he had some seasons where it was remarkable. He had 190, he had 257, he had 216, 246. The highest is 257. Then he has 246 another year. Then he has 224, 201, and 205. So he's averaging 187 hits a year. What's 187 times 7 more years? To match Tris Speaker, because he played 7, right? 187 times 7. 1,309 more hits. Add 2,812 and 1,309. 1, 1, 2. George Sisler, if he plays 22 years, the same as Tris Speaker, he would have had 4,211 hits. What do you think of that? So Sisler would have beat Tris Speaker in career hits because Speaker had 35-14 in 22 years. What's 3514? 3514 divided by 22. 3514. Sorry for being away from the camera. Tris Speaker averaged 159 hits a year in 22 years. George Sisler, 187 hits in 15 years. Sisler would have beat Speaker in hits. Okay, how about average? I think Speaker would win in average because he did the 22 years and did 345. Sisler would have been around the 340. So we'll give that to Speaker. Speaker wins in hits. No, Speaker wins in career average. I'm doing this off the cuff. Speaker 345 career average. Sisler 340. Speaker would win in career average. But as far as career hits, Sisler would have beat Speaker because he would have had 4,211 if he played 22 years, same number of years as Tris Speaker. So we're going to give the hits to Sisler. We're going to give the average to Speaker. How about runs scored? How many runs is Sisler averaging in 15 years? He had 1,284 in 15 years. 100 a year would have been 1,500 runs. So he has 1,284. So we'll say about 80. 80 times 7 would be what? 560, right? 8 times 7 is 56. He would have had 560 more runs scored if he plays 7 more years. 560, add it. Sisler wins in runs scored. If he plays the same number of years as Tris Speaker. You following me? I want to match them up, but they have to play the same number of years and the same at-bats for the matchup. In career average, Speaker wins. But in runs scored, Sisler wins. And in career hits, Sisler wins. So I'll just cross it out there and there. How about RBIs? 1,531 for Speaker, 11,878 for Sisler. So he plays 15 years, say about 80 RBIs again, another 560. 560 to 1178, and he passes Speaker. So Sisler would have had more RBIs than Speaker. That's 3 of them. Home runs. Speaker 117, Sisler 102. Sisler would have beat him in 7 more years. Triples. 222 for Speaker, 164 for Sisler. Sisler would have won that one. Doubles. 792 for Speaker in 22 years. Sisler 425. But Sisler's average about 30. Give him 200 more. He would not have caught him. So Speaker would win in doubles. Singles. Only 200 singles separate them. Speaker would have won that because Speaker had 2,300 in 22 years. Sisler 2,100 in 15. Got to give it to Sisler. Total bases, 5,101 for Speaker, 3,871 for Sisler. Sisler would have passed him. Got to give it to Sisler. Slugging, 500 for Speaker, 468. I'm going to give that one to Speaker. On base, Speaker is better on base. Strikeouts, Speaker 393 in 22 years, where Sisler had 327. I'm going to give that to Speaker. At bats, they have the same number of bats, same number of games. Stolen bases, Sisler would have won that one. because he only came up about, let's see, about 80 short. 7 more years, Sisler wins it. Walks, Speaker 1381 in 22 years, Sisler 472. But according to this, Sisler's not walking as much. Give it to Speaker. Hits, Sisler would have won. RBI, 100 RBI seasons. Sisler had 4. Speaker in 22 years only had 2. You got to give it to Sisler. Runs, most runs, they both tied, so no matter there. Most RBIs in a season, got to give it to Speaker. Years played, they same the same. Sisler wins in 400 batting seasons. He had 2 of them. And then 200 hit seasons. Sisler wins that. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Sisler would have won 11 categories, and Speaker would have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It would have been 11-8 Sisler. According to this, George Sisler is better than Tris Speaker. What do you think of that analysis? You agree? Who would I take? Would I take Tris Speaker's 345 and 3,514 hits? Or I take George Sisler's 340 and a presupposed 4,000 hits, and he has 2 400 batting seasons, and he has 6 200 hit seasons. I'm going to have to take George Sisler. And according to my analysis, George Sisler is greater than Tris Speaker. Who would have thunk it? Just having some fun there. What do you think of that? Do you agree with that? George Sisler is greater than Tris Speaker. Thanks for watching. I'm out.